There is a social issue going on, which is femicide in South Africa, and it's very prevalent. It has increased tremendously for the past few years, especially after COVID. There are more victims, and women or children are the ones who are mostly affected. They're the ones that are getting killed by femicide, just simply because they're a woman or just a girl. And it's very prevalent within relationships or people close to you. You could see this in these acts of crime such as domestic violence, threats, intimidation, sexual violence. Women are often being in this position of having no power, and the partner or men in general will take that in their advantage and control them and intimidate them and just do whatever they want. There was this case of this woman, of a mother and a child, her daughter specifically, who were survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse. And it had started because she had a partner that she had met online. And at first things were great. It was an ordinary relationship, but once she started living with him and her daughter too, he became very physical, very abusive to her and to the daughter as well. And she did experience sexual abuse from his part. They were held captive in his apartment for months, but miraculously they were able to escape. And the way they were able to escape was because he had left his phone in his apartment, and she took that opportunity to call the police, and they were able to capture him and be safe. And these are one of the many stories. This is just one in a million, sadly. It's very common. It had turned out that they weren't the first victims. He had previously killed 2 other of his ex-girlfriends. It's insane. She had said, and I quote, "I had to beg for my life. And then I told him, you know what? I'll never annoy you with the thing of wanting to go home. You know what? You can do whatever you do with me. I'm all yours. But please spare me my life because I still have a daughter to raise." And you can tell that's fear, not just for herself, but for her daughter. Because who's gonna take care of her daughter? And that's every every mother's nightmare. So I can only imagine the horror that they've been going through. But sadly, this is very common. Looking more into statistics, as said before, almost 50% of assaults are committed by someone close. Not only does this happen within partners in domestic violence, but it comes from abuse in the household towards women, which is very common. And 13% of assaults happen within relatives in the house. So if it could be the mother being the victim, it could be the aunt. Children witness that, and they either later become victims by the same abuse, or they learn from it and think it's normal to treat people that way towards women specifically, and so they continue with the same cycle of abuse as well. And 50% are also caused by partners. In fact, many women get killed by their partners, their husbands, and it's very hard to escape that abuse, of course. Culture really does play a big part of femicide. in South Africa, the men have the say. Everybody has like a role. The man provides, but they're the ones who make the decisions, who tell the woman what to do, and typically the woman just obeys. That's really the culture over there in South Africa. So it could be very normalized, to tell a woman, you can't do this, you can't do that. They can't really make their own decisions or feel like they can. There's this a very misogynistic culture in South Africa. Mainly because things are very normalized. It could be inappropriate behavior towards women. Sexual violence, or just violence in general towards women, is very normalized between men. It's something that it's learned, it's taught. And I think that's the main reason why women keep falling into the same cycle of abuse. They'll witness abuse in their homes, typically their fathers hitting their mothers. And they think, well, if my mom lived like that, I guess that's the life that I'll have to live with my partner, because that's all they know sometimes. Or simply other women trying to escape that cycle of abuse. It could be very hard because, most of the time they'll get killed or fear of getting killed. Or if it's about strangers, men will often catcall women or start groping them if they're out in the streets and they don't feel safe. Women have this fear in their minds that if they walk alone, who's in the back of me or who's following me, because we think that we either will get raped or get killed or both. So it's something that will always be in our minds, and it's very common to see that in South Africa. For this project, we decided at first to make 3 posters, but we later changed our minds into creating 1 posters with all of our ideas combined. It's sort of a mixed media. For me, I like digital drawing, so I wanted to do something like that. And my partners in the group like to do mixed media, more hands-on type of work. So we wanted to try it out, and our statement is, how women feel as victims and to show their strength and hope in their lives. So it's pretty much demonstrating how their lives have been in this femicide culture, and we want to focus on different ideas as part of our statement. So I wanted to focus on the suffering and fear that women go through in South Africa. I don't think it's something that we should shy away. Thatu wanted to focus on strength, and Kefuwe wanted to show hope. So that's where we're trying to show in 1 single poster instead of 3. And we wanted to use A2 as the size of the poster. And yeah.